第三样，要你的乳汁。
你开玩笑，我哪儿？
Hello everybody and welcome to Amphi Reviews. Today we're doing something a little different. As you may have noticed, my girlfriend is currently in the front room at the moment entertaining her friend, and I figured I'd take the opportunity while I'm in the bedroom to test out a few different ideas for recording and to get some content for you guys while I have the free time. And I figured this would be a good opportunity to kind of test out this little style. I've done this for my unboxings and kind of Blu-ray reviews, and I know many people on YouTube use this style as well. I figured it'd be a good opportunity to do kind of like a quick review kind of segment, maybe for the channel, maybe for kind of films, or maybe kind of, you know, editions that I kind of want to talk about but don't want to spend a huge amount of time on in terms of kind of editing or putting together a massive video for. I kind of want to save them for the big ones, or ones that I'm a bit more passionate about in a sense. This one is something I am not passionate about in the slightest, so I figured this will work for the context of the video for sure. So this is a quick review for Black Magic. This film was directed by Hui Hui. I hope I said that correctly. It was released in 1975. The director has also done Black Magic Part 2, The Mighty Peking Man, and The Flying Guillotine. All films I have not seen, and never really watched any of his movies, as far as I'm aware of. And this is my first experience under the director's kind of, you know, lineup. This is definitely a 100% Shaw Brothers film, definitely a Shaw Brothers idea, and it is part of the 88 Films Asian Collection lineup. As you can tell there, this is number 2 of their kind of lineup, and this one I was very curious with, mainly after watching kind of Spooky Encounters. I was very curious to kind of check out some of these other kind of horror, spiritual, kind of voodoo, kind of magic movies from Hong Kong cinema. You know, I thought there had to be some good ones out there. I've seen Mr. Vampire, I've seen Spooky Encounters, and I know Black Magic and Black Magic Part 2 and some of these other kind of ones from the late 70s, early 80s were kind of, you know, all out there, and there's a massive kind of, you know, genre for it during in terms of Hong Kong cinema. But all the ones I've watched really recently, in terms of the ones I mentioned, are just not really delivered at all. This one I've watched just recently just finished it, and yeah, this is another one that I didn't really care for, if I'm being absolutely honest. Black Magic has a very unique kind of concept, and that's one of the things I'll give a lot of these kind of Hong Kong movies in terms of the horror or maybe horror comedy genre in that sense. All of them have great ideas or a great kind of, you know, concept. And just like most of the kind of Hong Kong horror or Hong Kong kind of comedy type of movies from their lineup, especially the 88 kind of Asian collection, you know, all of them have great concepts. Black Magic concept I think is really interesting. It feels a bit sleazy, obviously very much is, but the concept of someone wanting to create a kind of a love potion or a death potion to kind of trick someone into falling in love with them kind of thing, or sleeping with them, or kind of killing them, you know, through various kind of dark magicians and dark magic and that kind of stuff, black magic. I think it's a really intriguing concept, and I thought, oh, this could be something quite interesting. I know the third act went to be a little bit crazy. I know it definitely goes off the rails a little bit, and I thought I'll give this a bit of a risk. It popped up quite cheap from my local CX, and I thought, why not? I'll give it a go. And yeah, the results were very disappointing, to say the least. It started off pretty good. I liked the opening kind of section of the film, the first 10 minutes. I liked the fact he was set during the olden days. He was really cool. I liked the premise was quite quick. You know, his death kind of, you know, his death spell kind of in the works, and how he operates kind of thing, and how quickly it is he can do what he needs to do. And I thought that's a really intriguing kind of opening, and I thought it sets this tone really well. And then it cuts to mid-70s out of nowhere. Locations were very good in the film. One of the things I do like with the film is that it does have some nice kind of interesting kind of locations. Definitely nice outside, you know, within restaurants. There's some nice car driving sequences, buildings. There's a construction sign. I was hoping the film would drastically change its kind of look and tone and get more creepy and get more cinematic, because the first opening of the film, with the kind of the sweat on the brow kind of thing, and the dark nature of the way it was filmed at night time, and kind of, you know, the creepy nature of it under the shadows, I thought there'd be more of that, but there really isn't, to be honest. You know, whoever directed that first 10 minutes, I mean, obviously he's the same director, but, you know, that first 10 minutes of the film I thought was a really good introduction to the film, and I thought was really strong. Really didn't kind of pay off from that point onwards. It kind of just became a sleazy 70s film, you know, with a bunch of characters that just kind of all want to sleep with each other, really, and just kind of want that person. You know, you got a guy that is so desperate to get this woman to get her wealth. You know, he does the kind of the love potion, and that backfires on him. And then she realizes what happened, and she wants to use it for this engineer, this kind of building instruction site guy kind of thing. And she wants him so much, and she's willing to do anything, and she does that. Then you got the voodoo guy, the black magic sorcerer that wants her also, so he puts a spell on her, and then it just goes on back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And this is most of the movie. This is just a series of people wanting each other through dark means kind of thing, and willing to give. Doesn't really take full advantage of its kind of concept fully. There is some initial kind of intrigue in terms of the way the potion works, and I like the kind of the setup and how kind of complex it is to kind of get someone to kind of fall in love with you under a specific time or a specific way kind of thing. And you know how narcissistic some of these characters are, I think was also quite fun and quite charming to the film to some degree, but it just kind of falls apart very quickly. I just, considering it goes back and forth, and then he does exactly what I thought it might do, and the third act is sort of just a rinse and repeat of the first 10 minutes. I think what could have made the film a little stronger, if I'm being absolutely honest with the film, is just make the tone a little bit more dreadful, a bit more kind of sadistic. You know, maybe the consequences of doing these potions or doing these things and drastic kind of consequences on you as a person. Maybe your hand goes black, or maybe you kind of start, you know, aging a little bit. You know, maybe the cinematography could have changed up a little bit. Maybe get a bit more of that shadow work like we had in the first part of the film. I think really could have helped a lot. The initial morphology on the background of the two magicians, the two kind of sorcerers, you know, that has kind of been obviously gone back and forth with each other throughout decades, clearly, but the film chooses not to really explore that. It'd rather be a kinky sort of late 70s kind of, you know, exploitation type movie kind of thing, and it just doesn't, you know, it's just bizarre, and I think it misses its kind of opportunities to be something quite special. I understand that people kind of get something from this film, and so as you guessed, guys, Black Magic is another one not for me, and I think from now on I need to be a bit more selective, a bit more careful with some of these editions that I'm picking up. I think I'm happy to watch them and kind of like explore them, maybe through kind of streaming service, or maybe rent them. I think might be the best kind of approach to some of these kind of movies, but Black Magic definitely didn't do much for me. I thought a really good initial kind of opening concept. I thought some of the choices and music I thought were quite interesting, apart from when it got a bit silly towards like, you know, typical 70s kind of music. I think the potential was more stronger than the film allowed it to be. You know, I think they could have done more with the mythology of the sorcerers. I think, you know, there could have been more consequences for using these kind of magic and potions and stuff. But apart from that, it's a fairly intriguing kind of film. I think it does lose its way very much so towards the middle part, and then it just kind of gets hilariously bad towards the end, I think, with the third act, and then just sort of happily ends with cheesy 70s music at the end. I thought it was quite bizarre. Not for one for me, again, unfortunately, but nice to explore them, nice to kind of check them out and kind of see what these films are all about. But in case you're wondering, this is the Blu-ray edition. This is a out-of-print edition. I got this for very, very cheap from CX, my local store. As you can tell there, this is spine number 2. There you go, if you're curious about some of the extras edition. One thing I will say about this edition is that the new transfer for this is absolutely fantastic by how good this film looked on the big screen kind of thing. It's a really good looking film, really well made, really gorgeous scan. So I'll give it that credit for sure. I can tell you, look there. Of course, this is the DVD. I couldn't get the Blu-ray inside the PlayStation as I couldn't have been watching it. And this is the OG booklet as well, which kind of goes into more the making of and behind the scenes of what was going on during the time and all that kind of good stuff. And of course, you get the alternative artwork on the back there as well. I actually prefer the alternative artwork over this. I don't think this really sells the film that well, but I think the other one does. I think it's a bit more intriguing. But yeah, this is the Blu-ray edition. It's a very good, you know, HD kind of presentation. So that's my thoughts and opinions on Black Magic. Is Black Magic Part 2 worth watching, guys? I've heard very bad things also from that, but curious to see your thoughts and opinions. Please comment down below. And what do you think of the new style of quick reviews? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Do you think I should do a few more of them? You know, maybe give a opportunities to talk about a couple of movies that I wouldn't necessarily do like a big kind of, you know, day of filming kind of thing for. If the format works for you, let me know, and I'll love to hear your feedback, guys. Please comment down below. So in the meantime, after reviews, signing out.